In this lecture, you are going to learn how to install MongoDB on Windows. Before jumping into this video, go to training.mammoethinteractive.com and sign up for our unlimited membership. You can get all of the courses that we've ever created. That's 349 courses. It's completely free and you don't even need an account if you're using the community server. So join me at mongodb.com/try/download/community. So you can also just search for the MongoDB community server. Here you can press download, and that is going to allow you to download this MSI file. So save the MSI file and then double click on it and follow the prompts to install Mongo. Unless you specify a custom directory, most likely Mongo will be installed into your default files where you have all of your programs. Once you have gone through the prompts to install Mongo, join me in your command prompt application. On Windows, this is called the command prompt, also commonly called the shell, the terminal, the command line. They're all the same thing. Here we're going to create the directory or folder where Mongo will store its files. So we're going to call MD, lowercase here, and we're going to call here \data/DB. You might get the message the directory already exists. That's because I already have MongoDB. Otherwise, your folders will have this created. So wherever you are currently, currently I'm inside of just my user account, Glitty. I've now created /data/DB. This is the default location where MongoDB will store all of its files. Now you can next up try running the MongoDB daemon with MongoD. Okay, now if this doesn't work, you can also just launch the exe file. So just go into your program files, find Mongo, and then launch the exe file. For example, here I am under my program files and then MongoDB. You can go into the server 5.0, the bin, and here you can see you have MongoD. This is an application. All right, and we can see that if you double click on this application, it's the same thing as running the mongod.exe file. Okay, so you can double click on that and it'll open up a terminal. You can also here copy the path to the mongod.exe file, and then in your terminal you can hit Control-C if you want to close the MongoD server, and then you can here don't paste in the just paste in the path itself. So if you paste in the path to your exe file in your terminal, it's the same thing as launching it. But what if you wanted to have a shortcut like just MongoD? So I'll hit Control-C here. So often you want to use a shortcut like MongoD in order to launch the exe file. You don't want to have to go through the entire path. All right, you don't want to type in this whole path every time that you want to launch the MongoDB. So for that, we can set up an environment variable that is going to allow us to just use an alias here on Windows for the exe file, and we'll do that shortly. But let's say we already have the MongoDB running here, which we do. You want to keep this open for the duration of your project, because that means your server is running, your MongoDB server is running. If you close this down, then you no longer have access to the server unless you reopen it back up. Any files that you create in your Mongo database, any databases or tables that you create, they will be stored permanently here on your computer unless you want to delete them. And you can access them as long as you have MongoD, the daemon, running. And then you can close that and open it back up any day. Now, while the MongoDB daemon is running, from a second terminal or command prompt, you want to run your Mongo application. All right, so here I'm going to create a new terminal application. So I've just launched the command prompt a second time, and here I'm going to run not my MongoD, but my mongo.exe file. So here in my files, it is not MongoD, it's Mongo. So this is the Mongo shell. MongoD is the Mongo daemon to start the MongoDB server. Mongo itself is the shell from which I can access my Mongo database. So I can copy the path to that or just double click on it to open it, or copy the path and then paste in the path and hit enter. That will start the Mongo shell. Here we can see we're connecting to MongoDB at localhost port 27017. So this is always going to be the location and the port of MongoDB. This is a Mongo shell, and here it's been superseded by Mongosh, but they're almost the same thing. Mongosh is just an improvement. So here, feel free to install Mongosh if you'd prefer, or you can just use the Mongo shell. But Mongo and Mongosh are almost the same thing. Mongosh is just an improvement if you'd prefer to use that. And as well, Mongo shell will be deprecated and removed in an upcoming release, so just use Mongosh as the equivalent if that's what you have. So here is where we can actually put in commands for our database. Like here is where we can create a new database in MongoDB. Here's where we can create a new table, put in new entries. We do that via the Mongo shell, mongo.exe. We have to keep our MongoDB daemon running if we want to be able to access the Mongo shell. Now, as we saw, we had to use long commands. We can Control C out of this at any time. We'll get by. We can see with the up arrow key, we had to use this long command to access Mongo, and the same thing for MongoD. So we can actually create an environment variable to allow us to use some kind of shortcut or alias for these commands. To update your Windows path environment variables, we are going to go to our control panel. So just find your control panel, then go to System and Security. Under System and Security, go to System, and here we're going to go into Advanced System Settings. Under there, we're going to here go to Advanced, and we want to click on this button, Environment Variables. Here, we are going to click on Path under User Variables for your username. You have a bunch of different environment variables. We want to focus on the path environment variables. Here we are going to press Edit, and this will open for us all of our path environment variables. And you can see here I have created one for here my MongoDB, and you can also do the same for your Mongo shell. So all you have to do is hit New and then paste in the path to whatever path you want to access. Like as we had previously, we had here this path to mongo.exe. So you can copy this path to that exe file. Then you can paste it here into this program files, and then do the same for the MongoD as well. If you press OK and close and OK, then here, instead of using this command, this long command to start the Mongo shell, we can just use Mongo. Okay, just make sure there is no backslash. So now I've been able to just use Mongo to launch my command prompt here. And same thing for MongoD. I can use MongoD to just launch my MongoD executable. Now it's already in another different terminal here. In my case, I already have it launched in another terminal. But now we know that we can use Mongo and MongoD, just those aliases, because we have set our environment path variables. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to go to training.mammothinteractive.com, where you can sign up for the Mammoth Unlimited membership and get over 2,000 hours of content.